The housekeeper locked the maid and her twins. The millionaire's reaction left everyone frozen. The afternoon sun spilled over the Hale mansion, its glass windows reflecting a golden glow so opulent that anyone who stepped through the gates felt diminished. For Anna, however, this mansion was not a symbol of luxury, but a place to survive, to earn the meager wages that fed her 3-year-old twin boys. That day, when the daycare suddenly closed due to an outbreak, Anna had no choice but to bring John and Joel with her to work. She hid them in the storage room of the servants' wing, where old blankets and discarded items gathered dust. Bending down, she whispered to her sons, "Be good, stay here. I'll come back as soon as I finish my work." Their feverish eyes made her chest tighten with guilt, but she had no other option. While Anna scrubbed the marble hallway, Clara, the housekeeper who had served the Hale family for 3 decades, discovered her secret. A cold smile flickered across her face. The other staff cast their eyes downward, trapped in silence. With a sudden jerk, Clara flung open the storage room door. "Anna Cervantes!" The shout cracked through the air like a whip. Anna rushed down from the 2nd floor, still gripping the mop as if it were her only weapon. "They're my children. I have nowhere else to leave them." Clara's thin lips curved into a cruel smile. "Then your burden has just become my problem." Summoning every ounce of courage, Anna pleaded, her voice trembling. "Please, Sir Dominic has an important presentation today. I'll do double the work, I promise. They won't make a sound." Clara circled the sick children like a vulture. "You're right. You will do double." From her folder, she pulled out a long list and shoved it in Anna's face. "The entire West Wing. It's been closed for months. Today I want it spotless, as if it were just built." Anna froze. The West Wing was a labyrinth, its furniture draped in sheets, the air thick with dust. At least 10 hours of grueling labor. Yet she only knelt, hugging her boys and kissing their burning foreheads. "Trust me, I'll take care of you." The West Wing was dim, the curtains coated in grime, dust motes floating like poisonous snow. Anna cleared a corner of the bathroom, laying down old pillows as a makeshift bed for her children. Their wheezing breaths cut her to the core. "She wants me to collapse," Anna whispered, gripping the broom tighter. "But I won't let her win." She worked like a machine, sweeping, scrubbing, polishing, vacuuming. Every 20 minutes she ran back to check on her sons, but their fever only climbed higher. By 1:30, their cries echoed down the deserted halls. And as if led by that sound, Clara appeared at the doorway, her shadow blotting out the light. "I told you to keep them quiet." "They're very sick. They need a hospital," Anna begged. "What you need to learn is discipline." Coldly, Clara shoved the twins into the bathroom and slammed the door shut, locking it with a metallic click that sliced through the silence. "Stay inside. When they stop crying, I'll return." Her heels clicked away, leaving only a suffocating void. Anna screamed until her voice broke, pounding her bare hands against the wood until blood trickled from her skin. "Please, someone help us." But the forsaken West Wing stayed silent. Even her phone showed no signal, conspiring against her. Collapsing to the floor, Anna gathered her trembling children into her arms. Her voice cracked, but her eyes blazed with defiance. "It's all right. I'm here. No one will take you away from me." 2:00 in the afternoon. Downstairs, chandeliers blazed with light, glasses clinked in a crystalline symphony. Orchestral music floated across the grand hall where Japanese investors gathered. At the center, Dominic Hale signed contracts worth millions. Yet a vague unease flickered in his eyes, as if something behind these marble walls was terribly wrong. Meanwhile, Anna cradled her feverish twins in her arms. Her trembling lullaby wavered through the stale air, fragile as a single thread. "Sleep now, my little ones. Sleep, my tiny sons. That song had once been her lifeline during storms, when the children's father abandoned her the moment he learned she was pregnant, when her college degree was left unfinished, just 2 courses short, when she bowed her back and roughened her hands scrubbing other people's floors to feed her sons. 3 o'clock. John went limp, his breaths shallow. Nestled in his mother's arms, he whispered deliriously, "Daddy?" Anna pressed her lips against his sweat-soaked hair and murmured, "Your father isn't here, but I'll be everything. I'll never leave you." She dipped a cloth into a small basin and laid it on his burning forehead. The 4 stained walls became her entire universe. The window was too high to reach. The dripping faucet stabbed her patience with every drop. 4 o'clock. Downstairs, music and laughter echoed like they belonged to another planet. On her nearly dead phone, the last image left on the screen was an unfinished economics article she had been reading. Leaning close to her sleeping children, she whispered, "When we get out of here, everything will be different. I promise." Little did she know, at that very moment Dominic, celebrated beneath the crystal lights, sat restless, refusing drink after drink, unable to understand why his heart thudded out of rhythm. Rosa quietly searched the halls for Anna, while Clara raised her glass with a razor-thin smile, convinced victory was already hers. 5 o'clock. The fever raged like fire, devouring the children's fragile bodies. Anna knelt, lowering them into the bathtub, using warm water to ease their temperature. Her voice, hoarse and raw, whispered like a prayer. "One day, we'll have a little house with a green garden where you can run free, and I'll become an accountant, like the dream I once had." She did not cry. Tears had become a luxury, and if she cried, she would collapse. 5:30. Footsteps thundered in the hallway. Anna held her breath. Finally, Clara has come, she thought, every muscle taut. But then a man's voice rang out, different. "I think the architectural plans are stored in the West Wing." It was Dominic. He walked with a troublesome investor, using the excuse of checking the building to escape the banquet. His steps, by chance, led him toward the very place where Anna was imprisoned. A violent coughing fit tore through the silence. John convulsed in his mother's arms. Clutching him tight, Anna screamed, her voice breaking apart in a desperate plea. "Somebody, please save my children." The footsteps halted, then drew nearer. Through the narrow window, Dominic's face appeared. In that instant, when their eyes met, time froze. And what Anna saw in his gaze was not disdain, nor anger, but sheer horror, a bone-deep shock as he realized the truth. This woman and her children had been left to die, inside his very own house. "Anna? My God, what are you doing here with the children?" In that moment, the distance between a tech millionaire and a single mother seemed to vanish. Dominic didn't see a fragile housemaid. He only saw a desperate mother holding 2 feverish children in her arms. He roared, "Clara, come here now." The 2 little ones, one clinging tightly to his mother's uniform, the other stretching out a trembling hand toward Dominic as if pleading for rescue. At that instant, Dominic felt something strange. Those tiny, shaking fingers touched the deepest, most hidden place in his heart. Anna tried to remain calm, but her sobs betrayed her. "The door, it won't open. We've been here since early afternoon." Dominic glanced at his watch. 6 o'clock. That meant they had been locked in for more than 4 hours. His face hardened into a mask of suppressed fury. He pulled out his phone, his voice firm and commanding. "Dr. Wilson, come immediately. I have 2 children with high fever and a woman who is exhausted." Inside the room, Anna whispered to her children, "Do you hear that, my loves? Help is coming soon." Dominic yanked hard at the door, but the rusty old lock blocked from the outside, didn't budge. He clenched his teeth, veins bulging on his hands. "Hold on, Anna. I will save you." The old creaking door finally gave way under Dominic's force. He rushed in, scooping Joel into his arms while Anna clung tightly to John. The heat radiating from the child's body made Dominic flinch, realizing the fever was truly severe. "My God," he muttered, then leaned toward Anna. "You haven't had any water? And the children? How are they?" Anna tried to answer, but her legs buckled. Dominic caught her before she could fall. In that instant, the cold mask of a businessman vanished, replaced by genuine concern. He laid Joel down on the long bench in the corridor, pulled off his tie, and barked an order. "Rosa, bring water and cold towels immediately." The sharp echo of footsteps rang out. Clara appeared, feigning shock. "Oh my God, what's happening here? Why were they locked inside?" Anna tightened her grip, her trembling voice cutting like ice. "You know exactly why. You locked us in." Clara's mouth fell open, pretending outrage. "How dare you accuse me? Perhaps you locked yourself in to gain the master's attention?" Dominic silenced her with one authoritative glance. "Enough." The corridor grew heavy with tension. A few employees peeked through their doors, whispering. Rosa arrived, handing water and wet towels to Anna. She lowered her head and wept quietly at the sight of the children's flushed faces. Dominic turned to Clara, his eyes blazing. "Can you cite a single rule that allows a mother and 2 sick children to be imprisoned in this house?" Clara stepped back, sweat breaking across her forehead. Anna forced herself upright, though her legs still trembled. "We don't need pity. We only ask for respect." Dominic faced her again, his tone softer but resolute. "Anna, everything ends today, I promise you." Just then, Dr. Wilson arrived with a nurse. He quickly examined the children, nodding firmly. "The fever is high, but manageable. They need fluids immediately." Dominic gave his next order without hesitation. "Take them to the main chamber. I want them to have every comfort." Clara gasped. "That room, that was the late mistress's." Dominic leaned closer, his voice sharp as a blade. "Is there a problem?" No one dared to respond. The silence was broken only by the children's coughs and the hurried footsteps down the hall. And in that silence, Anna realized something strange. For the first time in her life, a man had chosen to stand by her side. When Dominic ordered Anna and her children to be taken to the main living room, Clara froze. For 30 years, she had always considered herself the true keeper of the mansion, but in just a few minutes, that authority collapsed before countless witnesses. Clara bit her lip, her hands trembling. She understood that if things continued this way, her position would vanish completely. Anna, a nobody, was becoming a thorn in her side. While the doctors hurried to tend to the children, Dominic's gaze lingered on Anna as she clutched them close, kissing their burning foreheads, whispering fragile promises that everything would be fine. "Why didn't you tell me the children were sick?" "What for?" She kept her head down, refusing to meet his eyes. "So you'd have an excuse to fire me?" "No, so I could help you." "No one helps for free, sir. Everyone always finds a way to take something back." Those words cut into Dominic's chest like cold, merciless knives. How much pain had this small woman endured to lose all faith in kindness? At that moment, Clara appeared in the doorway, her strained smile still laced with familiar malice. "The investors are asking for you, sir." "Tell them to wait." "But the contracts—" "I said, tell them to wait." For the first time in 30 years, Clara felt real fear. The way Dominic looked at that maid, it was unlike anything she had ever seen. No, she would not allow some nameless woman to shatter the order she had built with such effort. In the shadows of her private quarters, Clara began to plot. She opened a drawer and pulled out a small camera, her fingers caressing it as if it were a weapon. "You think you'll win, Anna?" she whispered. "In this house, I decide who stays and who vanishes." Later, when Dominic stepped out to escort the investors, leaving only the two children asleep in the grand room, Clara slipped inside and discreetly placed the camera in a hidden corner. In her mind, the plan was already clear. With just a few edited images, the world would believe that Anna was not a maid, but a predator. Moments later, Anna returned to check the children's temperature, only to see Dominic enter carrying a tray of food. He set a bowl of hot soup on the table, his voice gentle. "The children need to eat something. So do you." Anna looked up, startled. She wanted to refuse, but the aroma of the soup and her exhaustion left her speechless. Dominic smiled faintly, then carefully fed spoonfuls to little John. That image etched itself deep into Anna's heart, tender yet dangerous, for it made her forget the boundaries she had sworn to keep. Out in the hallway, Clara narrowed her eyes, peering through the crack of the door. She could not hear the words exchanged, but the look between Dominic and Anna was all she needed. A wicked smile curved across her lips. Perfect. This is only the beginning. That night, Clara sat alone in the dark room, the cold blue glow of her old computer flickering on her face. She carefully cut and spliced each frame, twisting the moment Dominic handed Anna a bowl of soup into a scene of intimate affection. Clara's eyes gleamed with triumph as she sent the video to Victoria Hale, Dominic's stepmother. "This is proof your son is being seduced by that girl." She hit send, her lips curling into a venomous smile. The next morning, Anna rose early. She packed a few simple belongings for her two children. All night she had tossed and turned, tormented by one thought. Perhaps it was best to leave this mansion to protect her children. As she stepped into the courtyard, clutching John's tiny hand and balancing Joel on her hip, a luxury car pulled up sharply. The door swung open, and Victoria stepped out, clad in an expensive dress, her eyes cold as steel. Before Anna could speak, Victoria's hand struck her cheek. Slap! Anna staggered, clutching her burning face, while her children burst into frightened cries. "You shameless woman!" Victoria's voice was a whip. "How dare you seduce my son? Do you really think a wretched servant like you can climb into the Hale family?" Anna trembled, holding her children tightly. She forced her voice to stay steady. "Madam, it isn't what you think. I only work here to feed my children. I have never—" "Silence!" Victoria cut her off, her words slicing like knives. "I've seen the video. You touched Dominic, wrapped yourself around him like a snake. Don't pretend to be innocent before me." Tears brimmed in Anna's eyes, but she gripped her children's hands and whispered softly, "Don't be afraid, my loves. We're leaving now." At that moment, Dominic's voice thundered from the staircase. He descended slowly, his face carved from steel. "Mother, that's enough." Victoria spun toward him, her eyes blazing. "You defend her? That cheap servant is tarnishing your name." Dominic strode forward and placed himself between Anna and his mother. "She has done nothing wrong, and if anyone is hurting this family, it's your cruel words." Victoria froze for a moment, then let out a scornful laugh. "My son is blind. A woman like her only wants to cling to our fortune." She flung her phone at him. "See for yourself. Proof. Do you still protect her?" The screen played the doctored video. Dominic narrowed his eyes, replaying it again and again. For a moment, silence weighed heavy. Was this truly possible? Then his gaze sharpened, cutting through the deception. This is fake. The lighting, the shadows, everything is wrong. Who gave you this? Victoria hesitated before exhaling sharply. Clara. She's the one who brought it to me. The air thickened. Dominic turned and roared, Clara, come here now. Clara shuffled in, pale but trying to remain composed. "Sir, I only wished to defend the family's honor. I thought—" "By fabricating lies?" Dominic's fury erupted. "You dared to frame an innocent woman, to lock her and her children away. From this moment, you will never set foot in this house again." Clara went rigid, words dying in her throat. Around her, Rosa and the other staff stood stunned, witnessing the fall of a woman who had ruled them with fear for 30 years, crushed in a single instant. Victoria scowled but said nothing more. Dominic turned to Anna, his tone softening. "You don't need to fear any more. Clara will never harm you or the children again." Anna looked at him, her heart torn. She knew he had defended her, yet the humiliation and bitter words still burned deep inside. Her cheek throbbed, tears streaming freely. "Thank you, Dominic, but I cannot stay here." She lifted Joel in her arms, took John's hand, and walked away quietly. Dominic stood frozen, his fists clenched so tightly, blood seeped from his palms, his eyes fixed on the small figure of the woman and her children until they vanished at the end of the road. In the days following the trial, Anna returned to work with dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights. One late evening, after her children had fallen asleep, Dominic sat across from her in the small living room of the mansion. The soft glow of the lamp cast gentle light over her weary face. Quietly, he placed a file in front of her. "These are your transcripts," Dominic said softly. "I asked someone to check with the university. You studied accounting, didn't you?" Anna's face stiffened, a flicker of surprise flashing across her features. That was another life. I dropped out when I got pregnant. Just 2 courses left to graduate, but I could never go back." Dominic looked deep into her eyes, his voice resolute. "You can still go back. I'll make it possible for you. My company needs an accounting assistant. It's part-time, the pay is enough to live on, and the hours are flexible. You can work and study at the same time." Anna let out a small laugh, more bitter than amused. "Mr. Hale, I don't need charity. I'm just a servant, not some project for your pity." Dominic leaned forward, his gaze unwavering. "It's not pity, it's fairness. You have talent, and talent deserves to be nurtured. If you can't trust me, then at least trust yourself." His words struck something deep inside her. She remembered all the sleepless nights poring over old textbooks, the times she secretly read financial analysis books during her short breaks. Her dream of becoming an accountant had never died. It had only been buried beneath the weight of survival. She clenched her hands, fighting back tears. "If I agree, there will be one condition: no personal matters between us, no feelings, no promises, only work." Dominic was silent for a moment before nodding. A sharp ache pierced his chest, but he understood. It was the only way Anna could feel safe. "I promise," Dominic replied. "Only work, but this work will reopen the door you thought was lost forever." That night, Anna returned home and sat by her children's bed. She watched John and Joel sleeping soundly, their cheeks rosy after days of illness. In the darkness, she whispered, Maybe Mama will go back to school, so that one day you'll be proud of me." "Joe." Time went on, and the promise of only work became an invisible chain binding them both. Yet with each passing day, that chain grew weaker. At first, Anna kept an absolute distance. She spoke to Dominic only with necessary words. "Sir, the quarterly report is finished." "Good. Leave it on my desk." No glance, no smile. But Dominic was not angry. On the contrary, he watched patiently, as if waiting for the day her icy shell would finally crack. One evening, when the office lights had long gone out, Dominic stopped by. He found Anna still bent over the spreadsheets and gently knocked on the door. "You're still working at this hour?" Anna didn't look up. If I don't do my best, people will say I'm favored just because I'm near you. I don't want my children to grow up hearing others insult their mother." Dominic said nothing, then placed a paper bag on the desk. "Just a few sandwiches. Eat, or you'll faint." Anna froze. She wanted to refuse, but her empty stomach betrayed her. She took a small bite and murmured, "Thank you, but please don't care too much. I don't want to owe you." Dominic chuckled softly, that rare smile making Anna's heart stumble. "Owe me? Then tomorrow buy me a cup of instant coffee. We'll be even." Another time, Anna came to work with a slight fever. When she leaned over the conference table, her shoulders trembling, Dominic rushed to her side. "You're sick. Why didn't you stay home?" Anna brushed his hand away. "I don't need pity. We promised only work, so keep your word." Dominic clenched his hand, anger flashing in his eyes before softening. "It's not pity. I just worry about you." The words slipped out too quickly, leaving them both stunned. Anna immediately lowered her head, hiding the flush on her face. There were mornings when Dominic arrived early and saw Anna studying online before work began. He stood outside the glass wall, watching her thin hands scribble hurried notes, her eyes burning like fire. He whispered, as though speaking only to himself, "You deserve so much more." One day, when Anna forgot her umbrella and the sky broke into heavy rain, Dominic drove straight to the school gate to fetch the mother and her 2 children. Anna stiffened. "I don't need you to take us home. If people see, they'll gossip." "Let them talk." He stopped the car, opened the door, and looked directly into her eyes. "But don't let your children get soaked in cold ever again." Anna bit her lip, then finally gathered John and Joel and slid into the back seat. Amid the downpour, the children chirped, "Mom, Mr. Dominic is like a superhero." Anna turned away, not daring to look at the man in front, but the corner of her lips trembled with a feeling she could not name. Moments like these repeated themselves, small but steady, chipping away at the walls Anna had built. Some nights she lay listening to her children's breathing, and unbidden she remembered Dominic's eyes, the gentle weight of his hand on her shoulder when she was exhausted. Her heart quivered, torn between longing and fear. One rare moment as they checked the ledgers together, Anna blurted out, "Why are you so good to me?" Dominic paused, then answered slowly, "Because you deserve someone to be good to you. And this time, you don't need to give anything back." Anna stayed silent. A single tear slipped down onto the page, spreading like a question mark without an answer. It was in those days, the fleeting glances, the half-spoken words, the warm silences, that suspicion gave way to an invisible bond. Love did not need to be confessed aloud, for it was already there, more real and enduring than any promise ever made. Many nights, when the clock struck midnight, Anna was still seated under the lamp, writing tirelessly. Her eyes were dark with fatigue, her hands trembling, yet she never allowed herself to stop. John and Joel would often wake in the middle of the night, see their mother still studying, and whisper softly, "Mom, you're amazing." Those innocent words gave her the strength to go on. Dominic quietly witnessed it all. He saw Anna falling asleep at her desk, saw her carry textbooks even when she took her children to the doctor. Within him, admiration for her grew deeper, mixed with the helplessness of knowing he could do little more than keep his promise, to let Anna walk forward on her own 2 feet. 1 year later, Anna officially received her diploma. At the ceremony, John and Joel's cheers echoed through the auditorium, while Dominic sat silently in the front row, his eyes glowing with pride. After the ceremony in the small garden beside the school, Dominic knelt before Anna, not on one knee, but sitting fully on the grass, heedless of his fine suit. John and Joel gasped, their eyes wide. Dominic pulled out a small velvet box, inside which lay a simple yet elegant sapphire ring. Looking straight into Anna's eyes, his voice trembled. "Anna, you have shown me the true meaning of family. You taught me that strength doesn't lie in wealth, but in love and courage. I am not asking you to marry only me. I am asking to become a part of your family." The two boys exchanged glances. John, solemn as ever, asked, "If you marry our mom, will you let us eat as much ice cream as we want?" Dominic burst out laughing and nodded without hesitation. "As much as you want, and a wide garden for you both to play in." Joel clapped his hands in delight, while John thought for a moment before declaring, "Then I agree, but our mom has the final say." All eyes turned to Anna. She trembled, tears streaming down her cheeks. The wounds of her past had once made her swear never to let anyone into her heart again. But now before her stood a man willing to give up glory and power to stand beside her and her children. Anna whispered, her voice choked with emotion, "I have one condition." Dominic held his breath. No extravagant wedding, no grand castle, just a warm home, a small garden, and peace for my children. Dominic smiled, his eyes glistening with tears. "I promise. As long as I have you and the children, nothing else matters." When the ring slid onto Anna's finger, applause erupted throughout the garden. Rosa, Luis, and all those who had stood by them were there, their eyes filled with tears of joy. The wedding took place in a small church on the outskirts of town. It was neither lavish nor dazzling, but it overflowed with laughter and tears of joy. Anna wore a simple white dress, holding tightly to John and Joel's hands as she walked down the aisle. Dominic stood waiting at the front, his eyes never leaving the woman he had waited for his entire life. Rosa, Luis, and all the staff who had once worked in the mansion were there as well. They weren't just guests. They were the family that Anna and Dominic had chosen. When the priest spoke the words of blessing, John suddenly shouted, "Now we're a team!" The entire church burst into laughter. Dominic bent down, ruffled his son's hair, and whispered, "That's right, a team forever." After the ceremony, a small reception was held in the garden, where Joel ran joyfully among the flower beds while John busied himself counting each slice of cake. Anna sat quietly, watching the scene with eyes brimming with gratitude. She turned to Dominic and softly said, "I never thought my life would have an ending like this." Dominic smiled, gripping her hand firmly. "This isn't the end, Anna. This is only the beginning." One afternoon, as the family sat together in the garden behind their small home, Joel asked, "Mom, do all stories have happy endings?" Anna smiled, pulling her two sons into her arms. "No, sweetheart, but our story does, because we fought for it." Dominic wrapped his arms around all three of them, his eyes shining in the glow of the setting sun. And in that moment, beneath the fading sun, all the pain, all the trials, and every shadow of the past dissolved, leaving only a family bound not by blood or fortune, but by love.